galaxy still needs its guardians.
I have a show too, you know. You're not the only one with a deadline.
I know, but I have 2 shows, which is insane.
From a band of galaxy-hopping heroes to a pair of soldiers separated by circumstance to an up-close look at the artistic process, today's film show explores both stars and soul. And to take us through it all, our film critic Ben Croll. Hi, Ben.
Hello, hello.
Now, our first film takes us to the cosmos, no less, with a gang of lovable rogues. This is Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which kind of wraps up this big screen trilogy full of colourful characters. It's a real full-on sci-fi spectacle. Are we ending this saga on a high note?
Well, the thing about comic book movies is nothing ever ends. I don't think that this is the last that we'll see of the Guardians of the Galaxy, but this is probably the last film called Guardians of the Galaxy that we'll see for the next few years at least. And on that note, it does kind of close out the saga that started with 2014's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. We once again joined Chris Pratt's lovable rogue Star-Lord and his merry band of alien miscreants, played or voiced by Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, and Vin Diesel under various layers of makeup or visual effects. This new one, in perfect Hollywood tradition, is the same but different because it offers an origin story and maybe a redemption arc for another fan favorite character, the CGI critter Rocket Raccoon, voiced by Bradley Cooper. Let's take a look.
I'm done running. The galaxy still needs its guardians.
Hello, we come in peace. Come on, Drax. Seriously, dude? No! Ow!
Okay, so it certainly feels like a Marvel epic. What sets this one apart?
The easiest answer is the voice of writer-director James Gunn. I mean, with these Marvel series, Disney and Marvel have created a kind of a new precedent. This is the 3rd Guardians of the Galaxy movie, but it is the 32nd of the larger interconnected Marvel Cinematic Universe series. And what has kind of set the Guardian movies apart from all of the other moving parts of this cinematic universe is director James Gunn. He came from schlock horror and creature features, very low budget nonsense movies, and he takes evident delight in this large-scale canvas that he's now been given. He fills the screen with very eye-popping aliens, wonderfully ornate and hilarious sets, and a soundtrack full of classic rock staples. This one has Radiohead, Bruce Springsteen, Florence and the Machine, Beastie Boys. And so he makes blockbuster films actually feel like blockbusters. You get what you pay for with this one, and that makes these Guardian movies feel a little bit more refreshing than some of the other kind of Marvel offerings.
He's certainly worked out the secret formula there. In fact, we have James Gunn and Chris Pratt talking about this final installment.
You know, I remember when the first movie came out and everybody was like, oh my God, this is totally different, it's so weird, it's so different than, other movies, other Marvel movies. And to me, it's like, I'm just telling the story the best I can. And that's all I care about. I really don't care about being different or being, anything like that. I just want to tell stories about characters that I love, that the audience loves, and then we can go on this wonderful journey with them and see into their hearts a little bit.
My life has changed. I just moments ago, I was spending time with these extraordinary kids from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. That was something that wasn't a reality before. Like walk into a room full of kids who are facing, devastating realities and put a smile on their face. That's pretty cool. It makes me feel really good to do that. It's my favorite part of the job.
Well, the good news for Chris Pratt is that he's going to continue playing this character for years on end. Guardians makes abundantly clear that these characters are coming back. They will be in future Marvel installments. And director James Gunn might be leaving this series, but he's not leaving comic book movies behind. He's gone over to DC to oversee their super connected comic book universe and to direct their next Superman movie. And so it speaks to this certainly a level of fatigue that I'm feeling, that I think that other viewers as well. They only know how to turn the spigot one way. More superhero movies, more content. None of this is ever going away. And if this is the last Guardians movie, in order to have really appreciated all of the different narrative stakes in it, you have to have seen the first 2 Guardians movies, a series of other Marvel films where the Guardians show up, a number of streaming shows on Disney Plus, making it all feel a bit like homework.
Okay, well, it seems like they've got a never-ending source of content there. Well, now we're moving to an altogether different kind of fantasy now. This won the Silver Bear for Outstanding Artistic Contribution at this year's Berlin Film Festival. Giacomo Abbruzese's Disco Boy brings us a more sensorial view of the French Foreign Legion. Take a look.
On ralentit. Ensemble, toujours ensemble. Une dernière accélération. Jusqu'à exploser les poumons.
Okay, so that gives us a general feel for the mood of Disco Boy, quite tense. Give us some background on the story.
Well, the film follows a paperless migrant who finds a new lease on life when he joins the French Foreign Legion. German actor Franz Rogowski begins the film as Alexei, a Belarusian ex-con, who then becomes Alex, the Legionnaire, and if he plays his cards right and serves his time in the Legion, he might become Alexandre, the respectable Frenchman, in a few years. Those plans go a bit haywire when, on mission in the Niger Delta, Alex creates a mystical bond with an African freedom fighter, played by first-time actor Mor Ndiaye.
Okay, so that mystical bond doesn't sound like your traditional army drama.
Yeah, no, it's not Gen Z beau travail. It's a little bit different. It's less about military life than it is about these questions of identity and circumstance. Both Alexei and his target in the Niger Delta are kind of fun-loving club kids. They're two sides of the same coin, cast in opposition by circumstance and by forces larger than themselves. They create a kind of spectral bond, and that follows Alexei back to France for a third act that takes place in a nightclub, actually.
Okay, sounds quite experimental and
yeah, it has like a kind of club logic, you know? I mean, instead of saying dream logic, it's say club logic. The film is held together by a throbbing electro-techno beat done by French DJ Vitalik, and the whole thing just moves with swagger and style, more so than narrative logic.
Okay. Well, our next release, something very different. This is an intimate look at the life of an artist. Kelly Reichardt's Showing Up actually premiered at last year's Cannes Film Festival almost a year ago. Now it's on French screens. Tell us, was it worth the wait?
Absolutely. It was definitely worth the wait. This is a quiet and unassuming film about a quiet and unassuming character. She's played by the actress Michelle Williams. She plays a sculptor who basically has to deal with the more bombastic figures in her life. Some of those are her best frenemy / landlord, played by Hong Chow, and a self-obsessed father, played by Judd Hirsch. And since last year's Cannes, all three of those actors starred in more bombastic films, and they all received Academy Award nominations. Hong Chow for The Whale, and Judd Hirsch and Michelle Williams for The Fabelmans. And so I think there was a need to let this more subdued and delicate film breathe and reveal itself on its own terms, away from all of that hullabaloo. Well, let's take a look.
You're Lizzie, right? I can't figure out what class this is, but I really want to join it. I don't know what I'm supposed to do without hot water.
My show's open on Friday. I'll be free to deal with it after that.
I have a show too, you know. You're not the only one with a deadline.
I know, but I have 2 shows, which is insane. Hey, give me a push.
So the character that Michelle Williams plays creates these very highly detailed sculptures. And in a way, director Kelly Reichardt does the same. She invites us to spend some time with this very low-key figure over the course of a few days leading up to a show. The character is the foundation of her family and also a doormat. They walk all over her. And the way Reichardt's films are a bit more like short stories than novels. They're not about these giant sweeping moments of catharsis, but about these minutiae, these miniature details of life blown up to the big screen. They're about these moments of revelation where something funny all of a sudden becomes quite sad, where a character who shows up for everyone else in their family wonders if her family will show up for her at the day of her big show. It's a wonderfully sad and melancholy and quite funny miniature look at life and it's absolutely worth seeing.
Yeah, I found that one quite poignant, actually. So anyway, we're wrapping up the show by coming full circle, bringing the cosmos here to Paris, to a housing complex in Cédric Ido's The Gravity. Now, this film offers us a very different version of la banlieue, or the suburbs.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, The Gravity is more influenced by the samurai film Harakiri than the banlieue film La Haine. It owes more allegiance to manga than Les Misérables. Director Cédric Ido wears his geek colors with pride, lifting from samurai and science fiction instead of social realism when dealing with contemporary banlieue issues. That being said, this isn't the same Disney spectacle like Guardians of the Galaxy. It's more of a gang thriller with fantasy touches kind of embroidered all around it. The film follows these opposing clans as they get into a turf war in their banlieue, but they are so taken by their turf war that they don't notice the larger astrological phenomenon happening around them. The planets in the solar system are beginning to align. The sky is turning blood red, and the laws of gravity begin to loosen. Like last year's Athena, or the year before that's Gagarin, this is another vision of the banlieue that looks to upend conventional codes of depiction. In Athena, it reframed the banlieue as the site of an almost Greek tragedy. In Gagarin, they saw in these abandoned HLM a potential rocket ship that could reach the stars. The Gravity sees the banlieue treats the banlieue as pages from a comic book. Director Cédric Ido even uses comic panels and designs to go in and out of scenes. It's all part of this larger project to create new modes of depiction, new visual resonances for stories that, to show that these stories are ever eternal and ever renewing.
Sounds like they're pushing some cinematic boundaries there. Ben, thank you very much for the roundup this week. We'll leave you with a glimpse of the hybrid formal approach in The Gravity. Do remember you can get more movie news on our website. We're on social media too. And there's more news coming up on France 24 just after this.
Les petits vont me tuer. Je veux une fixette sur toi et ton frère. Ils disent que vous niquez l'équipe de la cité.
Quand on s'est mis ensemble, je t'ai dit je me barre d'ici. Et tu m'as supplié de t'attendre.
Après cet alignement, le monde ne sera plus jamais le même. C'est la fin de votre cycle.